So, Kung Fu. Did you ever see that show when you were like a kid? Kung Fu with David Carradine? Like
The
from
dude
Kill
from Kill
Bill?
Bill?
From the dude from Kill Bill.
No. I haven't
Speaking
seen
of my friend Bill. Oh, my friend Bill. So, David Carradine was in this show, which was on TV for 3 seasons, like a Western.
What year are we talking about?
We're talking like 60s, late 60s, early. It would have had to have been late 60s. I'm gonna look it up because I'm about to do that podcast on 68, and I'm doing this thing like this one author I'm reading about with that book in there. He goes into this big thing about like popular television shows, so like Gunsmoke and like Andy Griffith, and these shows are on TV. And like these are the most popular things what people were doing because they were so like disenchanted with the Vietnam War situation and the domestic situation and the international situation. But it had to have been late 60s. But the rumor is that Bruce Lee came up with the entire concept for Kung Fu, which is depicted as this Asian guy in the American West going searching for his family that got like banned from the Buddhist temple. Crazy story. And he comes to the West, but Bruce Lee came up with this concept allegedly, and they wouldn't cast him because he was Asian. Have you ever heard of that?
Interesting.
Also, that's kind of the rumor, like the racism part is why did you ever watch any of the old Green Hornet shows? They debuted on like Adam West Batman back in the day.
I did not.
Yeah. So, Game of Thrones, bro. Season 8 theories.
I mean, the Night King wins, in my theory, and then he wargs Bran back to when they created him and stops it. Stopping White Walkers.
At what
from ever
point
being created.
do you think that he goes back to when the ice was getting plummeted into his heart, or
Probably at that moment that they've shown, unless they show another moment of it happening, or when they're capturing him or something. Because it shows that he can do stuff in the past when he calls out to his dad. You know,
Yeah, I
stops
know
him.
that really was a game changer for me. When young Ned hears the voice, because that is like, I guess that's before you know that there's like a time travel element with Hodor, right? Or that hasn't been revealed. So that's the first time you kind of learn that like the different timelines can interact with each other.
Well, that changes everything, and the fact that they start bringing people back to life changes everything. It changes everything.
Well, see, like, did you follow along on the Wikipedia or on the books? Because I've listened to a lot of the audiobook from the first one.
Okay, so those temples, side note, those temples, okay, the pillars around those temples are tuned to be played. How the fuck did they do that?
Like, what do you mean tuned to be played?
They're in key, bro.
So we're looking at like some Thai. I guess, is that in Thailand, right?
You're looking at a huge instrument. They just discovered this not too long ago.
I'm going to have to look that up. I can't look it up. I feel like I could look it up now, but like I'm a little sketch on looking up things on the Mac because I'm using the Mac to record.
It's supposed to sound like one of their instruments they play, like a drum or something.
Like is it that I feel like that's in Thailand. That looks like a scene, like an image out of like Kickboxer.
It's an Asian temple for sure.
So check this out. I want to say, I know that they found several of these in Vietnam, but they found them elsewhere in East Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries. So have you seen like the position that a lot of like the golden Buddhist monk statues kind of sit in, like that, like either like a full lotus and or like there's different positions where like you would basically, if I understand it correctly, certain Buddhist monks that they're meditating and they die while meditating in these certain positions. Yeah. Well, yeah, like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, bro. Spoiler alert. But that what they found in the Vietnam War is they started finding some of these statues that had been covered up to make look like mud and not gold was one thing. And then once they found that out, they were scanning them and found out that entombed on the inside of the gold was like one of those monks that died in that position, and they like coated the person with gold. And then when the Vietnam War happened, so that all that stuff didn't get robbed and stolen and,
How did they cover
stuff,
them in gold without
they made it
like,
look like just like a normal statue instead of a gold statue. I don't know, like Game of Thrones style. Speak of the
they just
devil.
dip them, like, or just pour it on them? Like, that's weird.
I don't know. How is that temple an instrument? I don't know. Why is anything?
How do you tune a pillar? How? A granite pillar, and you're going to tune it to sound like an instrument you play?
Yeah. What is so? I know you watch a lot of documentaries and whatnot, and so do I. Like a little Nat Geo time, you know.
A lot of ancient alien documentaries.
A lot of History Channel, a lot of Discovery Channel, a lot of Nat Geo.
Yeah.
And then too, like I feel like we both watch a lot of documentaries and like non-traditional, methods of consuming information. But
Indeed.
so, what's your thoughts on like how they cut like intricate stone carvings and things like that?
Aliens, bro. Ancient astronaut theorists.
Ancient astronaut.
Say yes.
So do you think like alien technology? Because like that's the big thing is even to me, like I don't know a whole lot about cutting stone, but it does like how some of the angles are created. It's like, and how big the cut would have had to been. I don't see how they could have sheared it or chiseled it or anything. Laser.
I mean, nobody's attempted to recreate it or have recreated it by hand since then because they've deemed it impossible. From what I've seen. No, my information could be wrong.
Yeah, like I would really like to talk to like a geologist about, and I'm going to go back and listen to some of the Graham Hancock episodes on Joe Rogan because he's on there with this guy several times, and I forget the dude's name. I always space on his name. I have to double check, but he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast with Graham Hancock at least a couple of times, and he's kind of like a geology expert, and it would be interesting to see their take on things.
Working with stone from the earth, especially, is very hard, man.
Yeah, it's interesting too to me that the pyramids were once like a mirror. Like I read some accounts about how when you would arrive in the valley, like at the Gaza Strip, that it was like, I mean, they're talking few thousand years ago, more than a couple thousand years, I would imagine, that it basically would blind you, like the reflection coming off the pyramids on the Giza plateau.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was like.
And I actually just saw it, like why it was on my mind. It's like I read that. So I took a seminar on ancient Egypt in undergraduate school. Like when I was getting my bachelor's degree over ancient Egypt, and when we were talking about like New Kingdom and Old Kingdom, like that was the two periods, and like we went all the way like past Alexander the Great. It was a really cool class, and I went actually all the way to Napoleon discovering the Rosetta Stone in Egypt, which then I looped back to when I took the French Revolution class. So that's a really interesting story, how like Egypt pops up into like history like far after the New Kingdom. It's like it comes into like Greek possessions, Alexander the Great and all this. So, and that's how that Greek language, they evolved like this like Greek, like ancient Egyptian hybrid language. And then into maybe Greek. I can't remember the third language, but that's how they were able to unlock the key to some of the hieroglyphics we were able to decipher. Is the Greek, the Ptolemaic pharaohs the Ptolemies were these Greek this Greek family, essentially like a royal family of Alexander the Great and like his army. And when they passed through Egypt, he like installed them there to like run that part of his empire. And they used their language as like the middle transition on the Rosetta Stone from between hieroglyphics and I guess Greek. I don't know. I guess it was like a weird Greek. I would have to look a lot of this stuff up. I haven't read about it in a long time. But I'm about to be teaching, which I doubt I touch much on Egypt because I'm on 15. I'm about to teach a class, World Civ 2, and it's 1500 to present. I just found out what book I'm using today. So.
So you have like a guideline you gotta go off of.
Yeah, they actually said they even had my syllabus. I was like, oh, cool. Based off the book, I don't know. But I'm excited about it. Like, I actually called them. I was like, hey.
So they give you the lesson to teach and everything?
No, not so much. Like, it's more like, here's the book and here's how many weeks are in the period. Like, when they said they had the syllabus, I didn't know. I don't know what really that entails. I was planning on making my own syllabus. And, like, I've kind of got how I'm going to do the course based off how some of my, like, mentors did their courses and stuff. I've been talking with my professor, like, you know, friends and, you know, people I've worked with in the past. And, like, several of my friends are adjuncts or professors already, so they're just like, you know, at Tech or elsewhere and helping me out with any questions I would have or content. And it's just like I wasn't really planning on teaching world history, which I'm pumped about it. And then like, but I would rather really teach ancient world history, like World Civ 1, like Cradle of Civilization, Old Kingdom, Egyptian history type stuff.
That's where all the fascination is. My fascination is, anyways. You know. History gets so scattered after a certain period of time, so many years.
I was listening to the Paul Stamets Joe Rogan today. Did you watch that one? The mushroom guy with the conch hat. His hat was made of a mushroom, but he was talking about how mushrooms were like a thread of knowledge in which, I mean, this guy had fascinating theories. Well, okay, now we're looking at a NASA image of the day. Hubble sees galaxy cluster warping space and time. Very interesting. So I have Google Chrome, and I have the TV and the podcast. So we're just sitting here watching Screensaver. Supposed to be talking about Game of Thrones, but somehow we got off on Ancient Astronaut Theorist and Cutting Stone. But so the Night King, in your scenario,
yeah,
kind of wargs back in through time. But
everybody dies, and it's just them two left. Like they'll hide Bran somewhere. They'll stash him somewhere, you know, and he'll be the last person that's got to. And he won't kill him, but he'll, like, stick his finger, you know, like, in his brain or something, you know, whatever he does to turn.
Yeah, I mean, still, I feel like we haven't even been shown. Do you feel like it's been, like, the full extent of the Night King's powers have been revealed?
No. He's making the dragon breathe fire without even saying or
That
anything.
was a kind of a game changer, how he just... That was probably the most intense episode of last season.
Winter's here, bro. Spoiler alert.
So, let's talk about the Ned Stark thing.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I think he is a faceless man. He might not even be who took Arya in. But he knows that guy.
Do you think it's possible that Jaqen... I know we talked about Jaqen being Ned Stark.
Jaqen is the first one. He was the man who learned the skills and taught another man the skills. And they kept his face.
And I saw a lot of people like buzz online about there being a Jaqen Ned duality or whatever. But my theory would not be so much in line with that as much as that if Ned were still alive, that he was the Dancing Master.
The Dancing Master.
I gotta go back and look on season 1. So we need to do a season 1 through 7 review. But are Ned and the Dancing Master ever on screen at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, so then
You're talking about
be
her
true.
sword
Yeah,
teacher.
her sword teacher.
That's why
the water dancer
that's
or
when
whatever.
He says the one true God is death, and then Ned's standing right there. I'm pretty
So
sure.
so the water dancing guy could be Jockin then. Do you think? What's the connection there? There's got to be like
both from Bravos.
That was a coincidence.
That's the only connection I get is they're both from Bravos. I don't know too much about the connection other than that.
That's a fascinating concept though. Like as soon as you were like, hey, what do you think about the idea that Ned Stark could be alive? I was like, what? And then I was like, well, the more you look into it, and like when you go back and watch the episode, and it's just like as the seasons in the show goes on, you see the potential of like and then in the books too, kind of some of the magic aspect that goes on, because in the books they bring back Catelyn. Mm-hmm. Lady Stoneheart.
Well, I think she's something like a zombie. She's just walking around like slitting Frey's throats. And
yeah, because Beric Dondarrion brought her back too late. She'd already started decomposing. So apparently, and if I'm not mistaken, in the books, when Beric Dondarrion brings her back, she's decomposing, and that's when he gives up his light or whatever, his ability to bring anyone else back, or his ability to bring himself back. Did we talk about that? Someone turned me on to that idea, and I was like, because I might have just been reading about Beric Dondarrion because I went into his character more in season 7, and that's one thing about the show that kind of annoys me is Beric Dondarrion. Since that episode where he fought the Hound, and around that in that season, which I guess like probably was season 4.
No, maybe. Well, oh yes, because it's before Arya goes to Bravos.
Yes, so
yeah, that's 4 or 5.
When the Hound kills him and the Red Priest or whatever brings him back. Mm-hmm. That Beric Dondarrion's the same all the way through, but like in like season 1, when Ned Stark sends Beric Dondarrion out, it's a different dude.
They've changed a bunch of people.
Yeah. Oh, there's been 4 mountains, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's several mountains. Like, it was really confusing the first time I watched. I thought there was more Cleganes, and then you just told me no, they traded characters. I was like, there's all kinds of Cleganes just fucking running all over the place.
Here's another Easter egg. Tommen of House Baratheon. So do you remember the Karstarks? Like, remember how Robb chopped off that dude's head? Have I told you that?
Yeah, they
like
killed him and they just brought him back as the king.
Those 2 little bitty Lannister boys, like they killed. One of those is Tommen Baratheon, the actor that plays Tommen Baratheon. Yeah. I'm just like, how are you going to use him, kill him, then bring him back as the king of the show?
He essentially plays 2 Lannisters.
Yes.
If you think about it. He's not even Baratheon.
That is true.
So that's even worse.
Here we are with the Lannister weirdness again.
Could be Targaryens. And that's why they're inbreeders.
Oh, the Lannisters we know might be Targaryens. I think that the theory that Tyrion is a Targaryen is super plausible for multiple reasons. I think that's going to be revealed in season 8. And I think that Tyrion might even ride a dragon in season 8. What do you think?
Maybe, I can't see him being in battle. He'll probably be hiding with Bran.
Well, so one of the theories out there is that Bran is gonna die while warging a dragon, fighting the Night King on the Ice Dragon. Yeah. And so I kind of thought about that too. It would seem like Tyrion might stay back if there is like a battle for Winterfell against the Night King and his army. Do you think that Tyrion's going to be with Bran? And if that's the case, who all is going to die in the first few episodes? And there's only going to be 6 episodes, right?
The first couple to go is going to be like Pod. insert Braun, and they're gonna save like the Jamie and all the main characters for last.
What I like the kind of little clip they've given of Jamie like riding off, leaving King's Landing
With it snowing.
Yeah,
winter's here, bro.
I'm super pumped about that season. So like, what
2019?
do you? I know that's the bummer, but I will say there's lots
It better be worth it.
There's lots of good stuff in the meantime.
I'm hoping they're just like, psych, we've got another season coming.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. See, like, I like what Star Wars is doing right now. So, for example...
Are they still going backwards? Or are they going forward?
I haven't figured that out yet. It depends on what part of the canon you subscribe to. Okay, so basically there's like all this fan stuff that was written before Disney bought Star Wars. And the reason like all the Star Wars fans are whinging right now is because of they are like, well, there were all these books and all the stories that came out. And I've actually been looking into them, some of the Luke and Leia stories from like the trilogy that came out like in your parents' generation, like A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, like the original 3 movies from the 70s and 80s.
Samuel L. Jackson. Aren't they bringing his character back?
I don't know.
Mace Windu, isn't that his character?
That is his character. So you've never seen Star Wars?
No, but
Fascinating.
Motherfucking Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Somebody made a super funny joke, and I think that they were what they were saying. Like, I shared this video on Facebook yesterday where these like kids are out like on this plane, like not an airplane, like a plane,
Like a valley, a plane, big plane.
Yeah. So, and there's like all this water, and they're catching these huge snakes, bro. And I just like a crazy video, and I shared it, and then. This buddy, a guy that comes into the gym's a wrestling coach at U of O, and he's like, I'm so sick of these MFing snakes on the MFing plane. And I was like, I see what you did there. It was funny.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, so there is a theory circulating out there that so Samuel Jackson was like chopped down or electrocuted. I forget in episode 3 when Anakin Skywalker turns to the dark side and becomes Darth Vader by the Emperor, the guy that gets killed in the 1983 Return of the Jedi.
Did you see what Deep Blue Sea did to him? They ate him.
Yeah,
bro.
dude, that's a good movie.
Fucking ate him.
That's a good movie. I dig that with Tom Jane. Tom Jane, who's in Deep Blue Sea, is really good. And like, I know that everybody's been talking. Somebody like 2 people at the gym mentioned today that new Punisher series on Netflix. But Tom Jane in 2004, 2006 was in the Punisher movie with John Travolta. And
John Travolta was in the Punisher?
There's a handful of other really good actors. This guy, he was in 3:10 to Yuma, and he was the Archangel in the X-Men movies. He was in it. Yeah, there was a Punisher movie. It's really good. And then they came out with...
Who else is in the X-Men movies? John McAvoy, bro.
Split. Dude, when I found out that was a sequel to Unbreakable, I mean, you're one of the first people.
Motherfucking Shyamalan. Should have seen. Well,
I didn't even know that.
It's hard to see what's coming in his movies. It's just like, hey, everything's over here. Bow, just fucked you right in the ass. Didn't even see it coming.
What are some of your favorite movies that dude's done other than...
I can't really just think
I
of
like Signs.
I was about to
Sixth
say
Sense.
Signs.
Sixth Sense was good. What about that Lady in the
seen
Water
Sixth
movie?
Sense.
Was super weird.
Never seen Sixth Sense, bro.
What?
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment.
No.
The AI kid, bro.
Lady in the Water? I might have seen that
The
one.
Village. It was like a 1-2 time watcher for me.
I can't even think of him not Shyamalan movies. Let me look some up because I feel like he's got a bunch that I really like that I can't think of. M. Night Shyamalan. Dude, he looks crazy.
Indeed, he does. I like how he's always in his own movies too. Because he was in Split.
I didn't
It's
even
like
notice.
the Zookeeper or something.
He's
I believe.
dude, He's done so many movies. I mean, Unbreakable, I loved it. You know, The Village, it was really weird.
I really like Joaquin Phoenix.
The Happening, that was pretty wild with Mark Wahlberg. I think
See,
as
I
that
never
movie,
saw that movie.
where the trees are putting off something in the air, making people kill themselves in all kinds of crazy ways.
Dude, there was an
think
episode of
that's-
Black Mirror like that blew my mind, where these bees bore into people's like brain, but they're not even real bees. They're like these clone IED. No, not IED. I guess I don't know. I forget what they call them. They're drone bees though. But they can reproduce by like 3D printing other bees, because all the bees in the world have gone extinct.
That is. Yeah, you know, the glass thing. I can't wait for that to come out to see how it's all going to tie in together with what's his name?
Yeah, Mr. Glass,
Mr.
Samuel L.
Glass.
Jackson. That's how we got
Yeah,
on this. Yeah.
like what he's got to do with both of them dudes.
Yeah. So the theory is that Mace Windu might be Snoke. Snoke is the bad guy in Return of the Jedi, and that's like a fan theory circulating out there. But so like what Star Wars is doing, and what I think Game of Thrones is going to do on HBO is I think they're going to give us things to keep us going. Like, and I want to look into this. Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
They already have given us things to keep
Exactly.
going. I mean, there's so many different points of history and places and time that Game of Thrones can hit on. I mean, there's different lands, different worlds. What's beyond?
Well, and
this,
I think they're going to tell some of those stories. So, like Star Wars, when they relaunched the franchise, came out with Episode 7, The Force Awakens, with like Harrison Ford and like the all original cast. And it's like, oh my god. Then 1 year later, they come out with a prequel movie. Then they just came out with The Last Jedi, and then in several months from now, they're going to come out with the Star Wars Han Solo movie. And then in 2 years from now, they're going to come out with the third installment of the trilogy. But then they're going to come out with the first installment of this Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy. So it's like they keep you going like a happy little consumer. Yeah. And I think that what I've heard the most about chattering online is this idea of like, I think that there's a potential to do so many spinoffs because it's its own universe now. And that's like with the Star Wars, it's its own universe, and the fans are divided on what universe they subscribe to, because Disney was like, we're not accepting any of your previous universe, we're rewriting it. Like, so like the director of this movie that just came out, he wrote that story. So that's the thing, is like they're taking this in this other direction that a lot of the fans aren't really happy with, because they've read these other stories and they didn't pull from them. Like these fan books and stuff, which
they kind of do that with comics and shit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they just
books,
like, like
everything-
Batman. It's
everything
been
is
like several
changed.
different sort of plot arcs. I mean, it's all Batman,
Yeah.
but it's like Dark Knight Batman versus
Michael Keaton.
well, what would be
Or Val Kilmer.
well,
you
like
know?
yeah, or like how they did like the
Clooney.
Batman Beyond cartoon, like when we were probably like teenagers or something like that. Like they've gone like all these
yeah,
different
I
sort of
remember that.
directions. It's all kind of really depressing noir type stuff, but it's like the Batman takes on different, like in some of them he's the Batman. In some of them, like you get more Bruce Wayne, and some of them he's older, and some of them he's like young.
That's kinda
And
what they're doing with Ben Affleck right now. Is
Dude,
that
I
he's the
hate Ben
old.
Affleck
I
with
do
that,
too.
man.
He's perfect for O'Banion and Days Getting Confused because he's such a douchebag, though. That's
yeah,
like-
I mean, it's weird, like how, like, I've never, I don't know. I like, I guess, a few of his movies. Do you like any of his movies?
I just can't think of anything like off the top of my head where I'm just like, damn, you know, I love that movie a lot. No, other than Dazed and Confused. What else? You name a movie. You can't because he's a douchebag.
I mean, okay, so I kind of liked him in Gone Girl, right? Or
I've never seen it.
It's pretty good. I mean, but it's like I say that, but I'm probably
Is it good because he's in it?
I know I'm probably.
Okay.
It's just kind of a good. It's like a plot twist or
It's a
whatever.
good movie
and I'm
around a
probably
dumbass.
never going to watch it again, and I can't really tell you about it, so it must not have been that good.
Exactly.
He was in that movie Pearl Harbor with Cuba Gooding Jr.,
Okay,
who
yeah.
needed a bigger part.
See, I've seen the movie, but I don't remember him being in it.
It's like the main
But
character.
I do remember Cuba Gooding Jr.
I know, dude. Because like, isn't it? So
And,
yeah,
like,
remember on
isn't it,
Team
like,
America?
Liv Tyler or something, and she like
Yeah, she's definitely in it.
Right?
Do you remember Team America when they had that song?
World Police.
I need you like Cuba Gooding Jr. needs a bigger part. It's a song in Team America, dude.
Man, that's one of my favorite movies, but I hadn't seen it.
Dude, I need to rewatch it, man. Matt Damon,
Dude.
Speaking of Ben Affleck, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are in a ton of movies together.
Yeah, him and Harvey Weinstein, they're all buddies.
Yeah, but dude, do you remember? Like, I just remember what people gave Ben Affleck the most shit for was being in that movie with, and I never watched it, but it was that movie with when he was engaged to J-Lo called Gigli. Like,
I know what movie you're talking about.
It's spelled. It looks like Jiggly.
Yeah, I
or
know exactly
Giggly.
what you're talking about.
I never watched it, but it's funny that it exists. And now J-Lo's like with like that singer Mark Anthony or something. I think like they broke up like several years ago. And do you remember the South Park episode?
I was just thinking of it.
Buckle flavored kisses.
Yeah, dude.
Too funny,
Oh,
dude.
it comes on
Too
too. That's one thing I
funny.
like about having TV is I can watch South Park. Like that's all they play on Comedy
Dude, I
Central
want to say
all day.
Hulu has all of the episodes. Like I just like it's kind of like the Simpsons. Like I watched the Simpsons for like 2 or 3 years. Like when I was like a teenager kid.
Even when I was a kid, I never liked The Simpsons.
I got into it for a while, but it's like then like you realize it's just like some bands that like I get into and like why it took me like a long time to really start getting super into Panic. Is like I started liking them like way into their career. So like there's just this like vast catalog of content to consume, and like I feel that way like because like I watched South Park from the time the movie came out, like all the way through out of high school, and then like a little bit after high school, and then stopped. And we're talking like that's like another 10 seasons,
yeah,
bro.
That's another 10 years, yeah.
Whoa. I mean, I like and what they're on like season 21 or something.
I was like coming up on 23. Like they just had a new season come out, but it's different from Family Guy and American Dad because they're literally like writing the episode up to the day it airs. So shit that was on TV like the day before, like they're talking about it, you know, and they've like got it integrated in the episode. So
Yeah.
they can be like right on like today, as in versus other cartoons, they'll be like a couple months behind. You know what I mean? So it's different that way because other cartoon people, they have time to prepare. Have you ever seen the South Park documentary that shows them how they make episodes?
No, but I
You need
do.
to
I have
watch that.
followed with how they're like right on top of current events.
Yeah.
Even like, and I was picking up on that back in the day. Like, and it wasn't just this like, oh yeah, coincidentally, Lord of the Rings is out in theaters, and you have an episode about it at the same exact time or whatever.
No,
Like they
write it
really
up
did.
until the day. Like they're handing it to the people like that morning.
Well, that's like, I mean, really,
And
that's
that's
why
hard.
like the idea of
Coming up with a new show every week for 20-something years. And that's why I think they do that. It's because they just feed off of what's going
yeah,
on.
exactly. That's the content is like the current. It's like a podcast. It's like your current commentary on current events, and then just conversations about past events and theories about future events.
And they do it well. They translate it into their world really, really good. They've got Mr. Garrison as president right now, kind of imitating Donald Trump, and it's fucking hilarious. I'll lose my
Yes.
fucking mind.
Yes, I've got to
And
check that
It's
out.
got Caitlyn Jenner in it, or what's the dude's name? Bruce Jenner? Is it Caitlyn Jenner now, or whatever? You know, he ran somebody over and killed somebody, right?
Yes, I did hear that.
So in South Park, every scene he's in, he's running people over,
Okay,
killing people,
dude,
Like
you know-
it's like what?
You know what's okay? So let's talk about some of the things that have been called out in either Family Guy or South Park, like that came out that it was like a real thing. Like what I want to say, wasn't it Family Guy that was commentating on the Kevin Spacey situation?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah,
A long time ago.
like several different things like that. Like they were commentating on the Bill Cosby thing,
it was
like way
inside,
before.
There's a lot of inside Hollywood things where people just kind of knew that.
And that is what, like, I mean, people need to give Seth MacFarlane more credit if he's bringing awareness to those things like years before you and I are hearing about him on Facebook and stuff.
It's crazy, man.
Years.
I mean, Bill Cosby comes from that time where they were probably just everybody was doing that. I mean, you got to think about
Joe Rogan the other day said they back in the day that was called slipping someone a Mickey.
Yeah, you got to think about what kind of wild shit they did back in like the Charlie Chaplin days, when people were famous and men had a lot of power and money and access to drugs like that, and women had no say in this world.
That is wild to me. Yeah, that's a thing. It's like you have to kind of look at the gender side as being more vulnerable, not because of like weakness or inferiority in any way, like of like some of the arguments people would make about like why women are different than men, but just like the thing of like for how many thousands of years women had no voting rights. Like
That's just in America. You got to think it's still like that in fucking other countries right now. Like house cats right here, women are down here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, dude. It's wild.
Like I was watching a documentary on Viceland about how I can't remember where it was over like around Iran or somewhere. Like when the chicks got married, if the husband or the family didn't like the dowry that the bride side of the family would give them, they'd like soak the wife in acid and shit.
Dude, I need to study more about Middle Eastern cultures. Like one class I never took in college that I wanted to take was Intro to World Religions, but I took philosophy religion. That was a really good class. But like I was really close to getting a religious studies minor, and Intro to World Religions would have got to cover a lot of things I would wanted to get more into, like Hinduism and just things I never got a chance to learn about.
Hinduism's some wild shit.
Yeah, you know, I wrote a lot about Japan in my master's thesis for martial arts, and I got to just I read a lot about Confucianism and about Shinto, like, and then like kind of those being like early roots to Buddhism and how Buddhism came into Japan. It was fascinating, but that's like it's always been an interest, but I never really got a chance to like look into a lot of like Middle Eastern history other than.
What is the first major religion? Would that be what the Sumerians worshipped?
That would be some of the earliest recorded mentions, and that was not like they were not a monotheistic society, which even in the Bible it mentions about I guess it was Abraham resided in Ur of the Chaldeans. So like that is they just recently this past year 2017 found some sort of cube or something or a block of some kind that had like maybe as advanced trigonometry as we just kind of came up with, or more advanced than we know how to interpret on that. And that's like I think 7,000 years ago, if not 5,000. I'm just not like I put really a lot of my eggs, like academically speaking, in the United States history since the Civil War. But I've rounded out everything, but there's just like a whole lot of things like I don't want to get into like talking about them in depth on the air because I don't want to make a mistake in terms of what I'm saying. But that's something also I've done a lot of research on. Like when I was in getting my bachelor's degree, I did a special problems, like a whole like research class on trying to link the Pharaoh mentioned in the Bible to the New Kingdom Egyptian Pharaoh timeline, because it does not name any of the pharaohs mentioned in the entire Old Testament by exact name. And why is that?
Because it was Moses.
Well, there are some theories about that. So, and then there's some theories. So, like what got me thinking about that was you asked about like some of the first religions. So, my theory is this, and it's got a lot of holes in it. But there was a pharaoh named Akhenaten, and an Ankh is like that cross with like the circle on top. It was like
onyx.
Ankh, Ankh. So, and then Aten was the sun god.
Yeah.
So, Akhenaten was like this like a Egyptian symbol of the priesthood or something like that. And then like this kid's mom, which was like one of the pharaoh, like one of the princesses of one of the pharaohs or something. And it was, I believe, Amenhotep was the pharaoh, like Amenhotep III. So he has this kid, and she just like floats around all the time in the water gardens or whatever and worships the sun god. And he grows up and he changes his name to Akhenaten instead of Amenhotep. And he changed. This was, if I'm not mistaken, King Tut's dad is who I'm talking about, because the thing is I believe it was King Tut had all this pressure to restore the religion back from the priesthood. So like Akhenaten changed the religion of the Egyptians to this monotheistic religion. And he wrote this thing that was super close, almost word for word with a psalm in the Bible. Like he had this poem that he wrote, and like he like was into a religion that looked just like on paper the religion of the Israelites. So,
which is Judaism, right?
Yeah, it just like let's just say like was not a monotheistic religious society. They had multiple gods, like tons.
And they try to wipe that dude off the face of.
Which was
history,
actually not uncommon.
Defiled
like,
all of his.
In any time a new pharaoh came in, and not any time, but several times. So like there was one of the first ancient rulers in the ancient world was this lady named Hatshepsut. She was in ancient Egypt.
What?
Hatshepsut.
Okay.
Shet. S-H-E-T, or I think it's S-H-E-P-S-U-T.
That legit sounds
like
soup. Hot shit soup.
You can't make this stuff up. I mean, crazy name, but she's like one of the first female rulers, and I think there was another ruler in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, that was just ancient history, like earliest recorded females
and that's wild.
to ever do anything. And she ruled as a regent, because like when the pharaoh died, like there was an heir, but he was like too young to rule. So like, for example, Ned Stark was trying to be the regent for Joffrey,
right?
And in Game of Thrones.
Well, really, for what's his name? The son of Robert. What's his name?
So you think Ned was going to back that? You think he was going to?
Yes, because he didn't put Joffrey on the piece of paper. He said until the right.
Yeah, but
comes,
apparently Robert Baratheon had all these bastards,
around
right?
For. I mean, he went down to the Steel Alley and talked to him, and he could see it in him when he met him. When Ned met him, he's like, "When you get tired of making this and you want to swing it, come see me."
Yeah. But so here's the other thing is like, I think Ned found like multiple bastards of Robert. So like the other baby in like Peter Baelish's brothel or whatever that they killed.
There was a shit ton of them.
So who's to say? Well, I guess that was probably the oldest one they knew about.
Yeah, there was.
What was
tons
his
of
name again?
I can't remember, man.
Dang, how are we spacing on that? He was just back like super hard in season 7.
I don't know.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm spacing on that. Because he was Arya's friend in the forest on the way to the wall. How embarrassing. So, in season 8, you feel like Bran is going to warg into a dragon at the Battle of Winterfell.
Gendry,
duh.
Gendry.
Well, because I think he like goes by a different name.
He
in
what's
season
his
7,
name?
right?
Tells him to, and he's like, "Don't tell anybody your name." And they pull him up, and when he meets Jon Snow, he's like, "I'm Gendry Baratheon."
Yeah, I'm like Robert's a bastard.
What's his name? Seaworth. What's his name?
Sir Davos Seaworth.
Yeah, Sir Davos. Yeah, he's just like, well, so much for hiding who you are.
What do you think about what's going to unfold with the whole Jon and Dany thing? Like, I feel like they're going to travel like back. They're going to fall back to Winterfell.
They're heading.
And
for
she's
Winterfell
pregnant.
right now.
And
That's
also, he's going to stiff her
Maybe.
because he found out that.
At first, he might. He's going to be uneasy about it. You know, it should have been a dead giveaway that he was a Targaryen and from the beginning, because all the Starks have straight hair. All the Targaryens.
Well,
have
here's
curly.
another thing,
He's got
though. If
curly
they're going to
hair.
go off the hair thing, all the Targaryens have blonde hair. Is that
Yeah,
not right?
But Stark's sister is dark-headed, so he took off.
Is that
after his
trait
mother.
and is that trait passed on from the mother?
Yeah.
Hair color?
I think you get your hair genes from your mother's side of the family. I definitely did, for sure. Like, me and my uncles have the same hair. A couple of my uncles, like Michael Joyne, has the same hair as me. Like, when he had long hair, it was, like, long and curly, just like mine. Like, identical.
You know who's got long curly hair? Dylan Sparks, bro. Looks like I keep calling him out. He's like it's kind of shaggy right now. He was actually my second guest on Life Unraveled. And he starts to look like a musketeer. I'm like, dude, you could be in that movie with Charlie Sheen.
Does he got his hair long right now? I can't remember.
It's getting longer, yeah. But like I remember when we were in high school and we played in the church band together, dude.
We were in
like
high
it was
school.
like, dude. But it's like since he's been back rolling, like he hasn't got his haircut, it's getting longer, and like when his beard's out too, it's just like. Dude.
I wouldn't recognize him without his beard. Like, wouldn't. I wouldn't. I mean, I've seen pictures of him without his beard.
Dude,
And,
I gotta show you this picture of like that one of the people from the gym turned us on to. That is, it's this actor that looks exactly like Dylan. It's crazy, bro. And because everybody shares that picture of me and texts me that picture is like Jack Courtney, who's in like the very last Die Hard movie, and he's in the Divergent movies. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Is it that dude that you send me the picture of that you kind of look like?
Yeah.
From the superhero movies or whatever.
Yeah, he was in that Suicide Squad or whatever. Yeah.
And like, if you shave this right here.
Yeah, dude.
you look identical
That's
to
my
him.
doppelganger. Well, this dude on this show, it's called like Black Orphan. I haven't watched it yet. But, I mean, dude, it looks exactly like him. Like, Dylan's sister and his wife were, like, freaked out by it.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, it is cool. Because, like, I guess, like, we just live in a time where, like, I've heard my whole life that people have, this concept of doppelgangers exist.
Oh,
but now we live in a
several of
time
them.
where it's just, like, you can access that information, like, almost immediately. Like, imagine 20 years ago, which I guess is when did the Game of Thrones book come out?
I think 80s.
Yeah, that's so, like, I thought I was safer than that window. So, like, 20 years ago,
That's longer than 20 years ago in the 80s. That's over 40 years
you're
ago.
not going to be able to access. You're going to have to read to page 842. And I'm not saying like I've spent probably 5 hours reading this weekend, like, but. Just between like articles and this book I'm reading, The Year the Dream Died, and I took a lot of notes. I did a lot of writing, but man, I don't know. I just feel like audiobooks, listening to podcasts, reading articles, and then like pulling from like real particular sources from a book. But I'm almost always going to go to see if there's an audiobook available and listen to that to and from the gym, or listen to it when I'm back here like doing something else. You know, like that's when I consume that information. Or I've even several times, like on like a Game of Thrones audiobook and stuff, like gone to sleep listening to that. It's like there's so many audiobooks on YouTube, dude. Like so many books that have like I've heard recommended on other podcasts or on Joe Rogan or whatever. You can almost always go to YouTube and find an audiobook.
Oh yeah, probably millions.
We should go to YouTube after the podcast and listen to Andy read The Great Gatsby. Or The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby. Like, dude just reads the whole book on stage for like 3 hours or something. Did you watch that Jim and Andy show on Netflix? Oh, it's good, dude. You should check it out. It's a documentary about Jim Carrey staying in character while filming Man in the Moon.
Man in the Moon, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy Dufresne.
Do you think that dude was...
He'd still be alive.
Yeah, a lot of people think that he is. Like, it's insane. Like, the guy that played... what is one character? Zamunda was the guy that he played... who was the crazy kind of like pimp character that smoked a cigar and he had the, you know, so he was the foreign man. So he had that, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then he had this other character that was like a slight nightclub owner or something.
And then he dressed up in costume or in makeup and everything and was a stand-up, like Tony Clifton or something.
No,
like
that's
that.
that's the guy, Tony Clifton. Yeah, he's like the super, he could put this big nose on.
Fucking stand-up dude is who he is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, rumor is that dude faked his own death.
Mm-hmm.
That's another fascinating concept to me. Speaking of Ned Stark still being alive, is people that fake their own death, or the concept of cheating your own death.
Lord Varys got him out of jail and helped him, just like he did with Tywin.
Tyrion, son of Tywin.
Yeah, son of Tywin.
I wonder how many years have passed in the Game of Thrones universe since, like, when we're talking about since Ned Stark's head is on the chopping block.
Well, I mean, you gotta think they haven't aged the characters too much. You think they would do makeup and stuff to him?
Yeah, Arya looks a lot older. I'm gonna say,
dude, she doesn't look any older. Exactly the same all the way. She probably looks exactly the same right now. From the time they were little kids, they just look like that.
Bran is the one that has grown up the most. If you look at him now,
yeah, for sure.
Because like on the scenes where he's like standing up and stuff, like when he's warging.
Before they killed his other brother, before Lord Bolton, or not Lord Bolton, his bastard son.
Ramsay. I'm so glad
him.
that dude's not in the show anymore. Like,
I wish they would have kept him alive to like torture him and do other shit with him, but I don't know. I kind of enjoyed him being in the show. They give the show like a freak villain.
Yeah, well, because like it was nice when Joffrey was gone that you had Ramsay to think about, and now that Ramsay's gone, so what do you think? What is Euron Greyjoy going to be doing in season 8?
Oh, he's definitely, fighting for Cersei. Fighting for the throne, mainly.
So, and he's going to hook up with Cersei.
He's going to try to.
Did they already hook up?
No. Not until Winds of the War.
I feel like that's definitely happened. If Jaime is leaving King's Landing, that's happening.
And here's banging Brianna.
Brianna Tarth. Here's another reason why you should get into watching Star Wars. This is like, which I guess she probably died in this one. but there's this badass like silver stormtrooper in the last 2 Star Wars movies, and it's Brianna Tarth. It's the actress that plays her. I don't know her name,
Yeah.
but I think that Jamie and Brianna Tarth are going to hook up, and like he's riding back towards that way, and he's going to end up fighting the Battle of Winterfell, or like commanding the Battle of Winterfell. So yeah, I feel like he's going to. So
which is where she is.
What role are Cersei and her armies and Euron Greyjoy going to play in season 8? And in what episode out of the 6 do you think that there will be a battle for Winterfell? Is it going to be like episode 5, and then episode 6 is going to be him resetting everything back to good?
I think they jump right into the battle episode 1, 2. And Cersei's army won't do anything until they all have to fall back from the north, and they all go south, and that army follows them. Cersei won't go anywhere until the war comes to her, which it will.
What do you think Dorne's? What do you think's going to happen with Dorne?
That's hard, it's hard to say. I don't think it'll really get that far. Because
but they are kind of so like Euron still has.
They could cross the ocean at the end of season 8 and be like, "Now we gotta wait for the
so like
ocean
Euron
to
was sailing to get
the soldiers of Bravos, I think.
Yeah. So I wonder what that's going to be like.
If they do go over to Essos or whatever, that puts an ocean or whatever, a sea between them and the White Walkers. So that could give you like season 9 right there,
What's going to happen with Samwell Tarly?
He'll probably die.
Damn.
He'll outlive Pod. He'll be one of the
So you think
last.
Pod and Bronn are going to be some of the first to die, or any?
And possibly Brianna.
Is it Brienne or Brianna?
Brianna of Toth. Is it Toth or Koth? Because on
Karth is that one episode in the desert, or a few episodes or whatever, where Dany goes there and the crazy dude's trying to hook up with her. Let's see. I think it's Tarth, 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 Brienne of Tarth. But I'm not. It could be Brianna. I can't remember. I honestly I could hear it being both in my head. But she's like, I mean, dude, she's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
That's so.
Amazing.
What do you think happened in that last episode with our Watcher on the Wall friend Tormund?
Oh, they'll make it back to Winterfell, for sure. They didn't show them dying, so they're definitely still alive. They're not going to do that to a dude like that. They're not going to show him not getting killed. If he's going to die, they're going to show his death. So was the Hound there at the wall? No. Remember, he took the White Walker down to King's Landing.
Duh. Yeah. I was trying to think of where he was in that last episode. But where he
went, who knows where he went after that.
He's got to be going to Winterfell.
Maybe.
Like him and the Mountain are going to fight. What do you think's going to happen with that?
He'll kill the Mountain. He might even slit his throat or something.
Dude, the Mountain's this crazy cyborg freak of a zombie, straight up, Frankenstein style.
Is he? He's Frankenstein. Bro.
Gold Knight Frankenstein GOT.
What's the name of the maester? Or he's not a maester no more. Kydell, right? Qyburn. Yeah. That guy.
That dude's where it's at, yeah.
He'll be one of the first to die when the war makes it down to where he's at.
So, what do you think of these mic stands, real quick?
I do like them. I like how you can adjust them.
Yeah, I pretty much I got cleaning up on mine and moving it around, but I almost went with the clip-on boom swing arms, and I may do that. I actually just ordered another one of these, but these are really nice. I'm gonna get some shot mounts for them, but these are actually kick drum mic stands for a bass drum on a drum kit. So it's a boom. So you can adjust this the clip pretty easily. You can swing it forward and backward pretty easily. But it's really easy to get too far away from it, and then it's like it's weird. Like the first spot, that's like I'm trying to get this issue fixed with the audio feed from the video, which it wouldn't matter while we're doing this, but I actually am also trying to get a complete, so I can just be on the Mac pulling stuff up, throwing it on the TV, or doing that from my phone or whatever. But I've had to get the audio from the camera to a different source on the mixer than I was previously trying with the AV input there, and then separate out the TV, because the audio that I was getting from the TV into the headphones, it doesn't record it, but it's just kind of like it doesn't sound as quality. But I ordered some cables that are going to be here on Thursday. It's going to fix all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Like, I'm going to be able to essentially put the audio, because what I want is for this audio to record on to the camera, the audio from our mics.
Right.
That's like, I said this on, I think, a podcast when Dylan and I we're talking about, that's like been one of the coolest parts, is like figuring out how to do this stuff. It's like right now, like I really like being able to do this in GarageBand, but I'm probably going to get like where I record on a totally separate device, like over there. Mm-hmm. I might keep it on the table, but I kind of like having everything sitting over there. That's where I put the camera when we film. It's nice. Like, that's one of the shots. I can do 3 different shots, but I'm going to add the leaf in the table too. That's going to lengthen things out. Plus, I'm about to do... Dude, you should come be on the podcast Friday with Booty, man. 2017 concert breakdown. Music Unraveled.
If I don't work, I might.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to do like 2 o'clock or something.
If y'all are doing it during the day, and I'm
yeah,
off work,
and it's like the day after he's going to that Todd Snyder concert.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That dude goes all over.
Dude, I know, bro. If it's like Tulsa, Springfield, I want to say he's even gone to Kansas City for a few shows like yourself.
It's not, dude. Dude, Kansas City is an easy drive.
I feel like if I was going to go to Kansas City, I would just go to Dallas from where we're at. I feel like Dallas is a closer drive than Kansas City.
Possibly. I mean, Kansas City is like...
We're in central Arkansas. So,
right at like...
Because you got to go through...
6 hours.
Because like where you're at, we got to go through Oklahoma to get to Dallas. So it's like, go through that Oklahoma, then...
I hate Oklahoma.
Dude, I hate driving to Oklahoma.
I hate Oklahoma and I hate Texas. I don't mind Missouri, though. Like, Missouri's pretty chill. And, man, it's just a straight drive. 540. Oh, I guess it's 49 now. Dude, it's a straight drive there. Like, you literally hit an exit and you're there.
So,
take one exit and you're in the town.
In my mind, Daenerys is pregnant right now.
Oh, definitely. More than likely. I mean,
but that hasn't been revealed. Is that correct?
No.
I mean, like, she's definitely got knocked up from that one encounter. Isn't it funny how it works that way?
That witch says she'll never have children again until the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. So, which is, if you think about it, that's going back in time, which the Night King will cause to happen when he works into Bran's mind. He'll cause time to go back, and the sun will rise in the west and set in the east for
so the while. Theory is like you've gone over into this, I believe, one time about how Bran was the one who turned the Mad King mad.
Yeah, whispered, got in his he warred supposedly like 3 times trying to go back in time and fix the White Walker problem. One with the Mad King, one with like being Bran the Builder, building the wall, and then supposedly the 3rd time he just wargs into the Night King and he becomes the Night King because he stays in too long trying to fix a problem.
That's what I'm fascinated about. Like, so you think that eventually, like, what we're going, like, talking about this Star Wars model of like giving us more things to consume, because they did that to me with Breaking Bad. Like, I watched all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad, and I'm super into it. They did the lawyer show. And I started, which I'm super into, and I'm doing a whole segment on that. So, like, I mean, it's that's like I'm just like I gotta be able to talk about these TV shows over here, and I gotta be able to talk about this history stuff over here, And then the music side, dude, I
And
can't.
then you have the MMA side of it too.
Oh, I know. So like here, like, what's your take on this? So like, I'm actually gonna do on Saturday with Josh Wendell. He's a guy that's been training. He's been training with me. He just moved here from Georgia, and like, but has never seen or heard Panic. And I kind of turned him on to Panic. I know, dude. Dude, you told me about Panic. Like,
I know,
I
but
just
how you
like
gonna
what
be
it was like
from-
2013. I cannot believe. I told somebody this today. I'm like, how? How did I not know who these guys were until 2013 or 2014
dude,
or
it was
whatever?
like 2008 or something like that for me. I mean, I kind of
Dude, I went to the first Wakarusa and did not watch them play.
Whoa. Like, I knew of them going into the first time I went to Waka, but after I seen them the first time in Waka,
Well,
I
and
was
two,
just
so
like,
like
these
my
guys.
theory on that is because when Mikey Hauser died in 2002, that they lost a lot of steam.
More
that they
than
were
likely.
like that they were probably at near the zenith point they are now. Then, and they even
they're on
had a
another
whole
level.
other guitar player
I think they've
between
had two.
them and Jimmy Herring.
I think they've had
From
two
and that
between
was
them.
02 to 06. So like when we saw him in 2013, Jimmy Herring's been with them 4 or 5 years, I guess. But now, and like just like I was telling somebody earlier, how unique it is that they've absorbed in like all that stuff into their catalog from like the Vic Chestnut, and then the band that because they have some that be just Vic Chestnut songs that they cover. And then they have some from Brute, so like Sewing Machine and what's the other one?
If you wouldn't ask me, I would have been a protein drink.
Protein drink, yeah. Yeah, dude. Like, I'm just going to say, and we should, dude, because, like, you should really try and come on Friday because we can talk about every concert we went to in 2017.
I can't even think of all the concerts.
Dude, Booty's
I went.
already got a list, bro. Like, and think of it, like, what concerts did you go to that I wasn't with you?
Other than, like, the first time I went to Roger Waters and then the first time you
Exactly,
went to
and I went to
Waters.
Roger Waters, and then I went to... I mean, I hate to bring that up twice in one day, but I went to Memphis in May and saw Panic there, but we could break down every concert we went to. And Booty went to a whole bunch of concerts that we didn't get to go to, like Gary Clark Jr.
You
and
went
shit.
to all kinds of motherfucking
Dude, have you
concerts.
listened to Gary Clark Jr. on Joe Rogan? Like I just noticed that he was on there in like the 800s episodes, or maybe it's 500s, but like I just checked it out the other day, man.
So was Gary Clark Jr. in Mexico? Did he fucking play a set with Panic?
I don't think so. That was Ivan Neville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been sick though. Like, that's how I want to say I heard about him is because Joe Rogan was playing a clip of him playing.
Okay, so the Ivan Neville dude, I think he's played Waka a couple times with as Ivan Neville. How you say it?
The
Ivan
Neville family is like a big family in funk.
Okay, so yeah, they've got the Ivan Neville's dumpster funk.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's could be him or I guess part of his family.
Oh yeah, I mean that's who else played with the Playa All Stars? It was Ivan Neville and then Carl Denson. Right? That's done with the Floozies. You know that song? I think he did that song with the Floozies, She Ain't Your Girlfriend. So, yeah. See, I'm wanting to do, like, anytime I go to a show, and, like, Booty's going to bring the set list from the Invisible Whip, bro.
Is that him, Ivan Neville?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Ivan
He
Neville's
was the guy
Dumpster
playing
Funk.
the keyboard.
Okay, so yeah, he's played Waka several times. Dumpster Funk is his band.
Dude,
Ivan Neville's Dumpster Funk. Bro.
When Panic played Use Me Up, that was like my
That's one of my favorite
bro.
covers,
And then
bro.
Red Hot Mama. Oh man, that was so special,
I
bro.
know. We're not even going to talk about the first night.
Bro, Cora's gonna make that. We can't mention any of
But
that.
goddamn.
But Cora's gonna make me go to Disney World, and
But
it's
something-
not that I don't want to
I
go
know.
to Disney
listen
World.
to this.
Okay,
Check this
I
out.
just
It's
have to
not
say
that I
that.
don't want you to go to Disney World either, or not that I would even.
But the only thing I want to do is see Widespread Panic play music.
Okay, and that's fine, and that's what you should be doing. It's because they're going to be dead soon. But you know what? Disney World's always going to be there, and I plan on going there too. Eventually, but while me and Allie are capable and they're doing it, we're going to continue to go.
Bro.
See
And like, it's kind of like
widespread.
my health insurance too. It's like every year it gets more expensive.
I know it sucks.
You know, like I started noticing that. Like,
Oh, no,
think
every
about
year
like
goes
since
up.
like 2013, 2014 when we saw them at Rogers, that they have now it's like, oh yeah, well we're gonna be playing for 3 days, and you're gonna come to all 3, and that's gonna be somewhat of a decent deal at about $500, and you only want to come for one night, that's gonna be like $150.
Dude, just to get widespread for one night, it's $500,000.
Yeah.
Birds couldn't afford it. They tried. They were just like, fuck, we can't do that. They have to throw a couple of little smaller festivals. I was like, you need to step your game up and quit having all these little shit festivals like Swag Fest where you're only bringing in cover bands. It's like, you want to fucking throw a big festival like that, you're going to have to throw some decent ones before that to raise the money. 500 G's for just one night.
That's insane, but
That's
you know,
insane money, bro.
like
split up
that.
between.
What's great too is Panic is they're their own business, their own industry. Like that's like what like every musician I've kind of heard talk about that side of things in the last 5 years on any forum is like that. Like take like a Maynard or somebody that's like 20 years into their career, they had to buy all their music, bro.
Yeah,
From the record label.
Mm-hmm. But that's when they go and start their own.
Yeah, and that's what Panic did. Like, and they did this like it's never been any other way since Jimmy Herring's been in the band, as far as I know. So
that's, man, I just, we'll go to Disney World eventually, and that might be something we do as well. But I definitely, if all is lined up and right, we'll be going to Mexico that third time. Guaranteed.
So we got to convince Cora that Disneyland is a good thing and that we can do both.
See, you're not going to get that from her. Let me just go ahead and tell you that. Frugal, bro.
I know, dude. I don't know. She's not wanting to go to Vegas this year either. I've been to Vegas, I guess, the last 6 years. Like, there's 1 year I didn't go, but always massively beneficial when I go there.
I mean, they're old, man.
I know, dude. John Bell's like what, 60?
See, and that he's like the last. When John Bell's gone, it's over. You know what I mean? Like it was Hauser and John. Schools. Yeah, he slaps the bass and.
Like I was super like early on, like the first couple years I was into Panic, was like, oh, like really even all the way until we saw him at in Mexico. I was just like, oh, Mikey Hauser. Oh, I wish he was still alive. And dude, after Memphis in May this year,
he was still alive,
dude, I'm just like Mikey who, because Jimmy Herring melts my universe, bro. Like I tell the story to everybody. Like it was the typical Panic show. Like Jimmy Herring's playing, they were playing Machine and
Protein drink.
No. What's that one they play with Machine all the time? They always do it back to back. They do an instrumental in Machine, or Machine is the instrumental, and it's the same one that they played at Rogers. It's on their YouTube.
Are you talking about Sound Machine?
No. Just Machine. You know that instrumental they have? It's just Machine.
I'd love to hear it.
Dude, I'm gonna pull it up.
I haven't looked up their set list from New Year's night down in their hometown. I need to check out.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's yeah, dude. We need to land Nugs Net as a sponsor of the podcast, so we can
There's a bunch of live streaming websites. I looked into it. And I don't know.
We need one of them to sponsor the podcast, so we can just use their service and talk about how awesome they are for letting us use their service on the podcast, bro. This is how the world works. Okay, widespread Panic.
Okay, Fox Atlanta Theater in Georgia. Okay, they open up with
Machine and bar stools.
Oh yeah, and Dreamers, bar stools and
Yeah.
Dreamers. Oh god,
dude. So
damn.
they always do those. So check this out. So we're at Memphis in May, and Jimmy Herring is just grating faces on his guitar, like
cheese.
Oh man. man, it was glorious. And like, dude, I'm like, I feel like I'm already in the fourth dimension with what he is doing. I'm just like, dude, it can't get any harder or better than what is going into my ear hole. And like, dude, he just kicked it in another gear. Like, it's like went to light speed or something. Like, it was like, yeah, I know you thought. Seriously, never have I ever been this blown away at a concert, but he just like hit a whole other level on this note of this solo and like took it up a notch. And I was like, what? And I was just like, I was like laughing about it. And like 2 or 3 other people around me were like, we know. Oh my God. I mean, it was just like, dude, we were like, literally like 4 total people, counting myself, were just losing it over him just soloing, dude. I mean, I mean, like, people like Dylan, I guess, doesn't like maybe know a bunch about Jimmy Herring, but I'm always like, dude's top 5 living guitar players.
Definitely
top 5.
Definitely in the top 10 for sure.
Dude, I mean, easily top 10, but it's like, who else is playing and putting out things and doing what he is doing right now is an artist that is alive?
You know, it's hard to say.
What's Clapton doing?
I mean, he's not doing anything.
What has he done in the last 10 years?
Well,
other than he did like a light little reunion with Cream, is that correct? And within the last 10 years,
he's done a bunch of touring, but I don't know if he's still writing.
Exactly, you know, but like Jimmy Herring's like, hey, I wrote a solo album this year, and I'm also playing with this other guy who wrote a solo album. That's a friend of mine, and he needs a guitar player, so I'm going to do this thing with him. And then I'm playing with Panic.
Do you want to hear the set list from their New Year's Eve night?
Yes.
Okay, so the first set was with JB on acoustic. It's Let's Get Down to Business, Who Do You Belong To, Can't Get High, Driving Song. Jameis Vu, The World Has Changed, with the driving song reprise. Yeah. Time Waits, Wandering. Okay, into the first set, and then they open up set 2 with Disco, then into Fish
Dude,
Water.
Disco is one of my favorite Panic songs.
Then into Tie Your Shoes, then into Sleepy Monkey. Okay, then they hit Chili Water and Ribs and Whiskey.
Oh, Chili Water in Mexico.
Then Pigeons. Okay, then they take a break. Set 3, they do basically Frightened, which is a Colonel Bruce Hampton cover. First since February of 2011. And then they did Yield Not to Temptation, which is a Bobby Blue Band cover. That was a live debut by them.
They have any guests on the third night?
I don't see any yet. They did I'm So Glad, Ain't Life Grand, Surprise Valley, Greta, Drums, Honeybee, Traveling Light, Last Dance. And then their encore was Expiration Date, which is a Brute cover, Postcard. Then they close with Porch Song.
Interesting,
dude. That's 27 songs.
They didn't play a lot of songs that I love to hear them play. That's super interesting.
Well, I mean, for me, they did Traveling Light. I love hearing them play that. I love hearing them play Greta, Surprise Valley, Ain't Life Grand.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, but they didn't play Barstools or Dreamers.
Ribs and Whiskey, Chili Water. Okay, Fish Water is one of my favorite songs.
No Ride Me High.
No, just Can't Get High. Let's Get Down to Business. That's a good song.
Climb to Safety. No Climb to Safety. Dude, that's probably my favorite Panic song. It's definitely top 3.
They did a 2-night set. Okay, that was New Year's. Here's December 30th. They opened with One Arm Steve.
Oh, dude.
Henry Parsons
I've been
died.
super into One Arm Steve.
C. Brown, Bears Gone Fishing, Hatfield, Papa Johnny Road, Space Wrangler, Dear Mr. Fantasy, Mr. Soul, Papa Legba.
Dude, now that is my set list, bro. Like, that's the song. That's the Panic concert I want to go to.
Stevens Cat, Tallboy, Pusher Man. Oh, they did Curtis Mayfield's cover of Pusher Man. That's sick.
Oh, man. They did...
Papa's Home.
They did Sleeping Man at...
Jack, Saint X, Conrad, Blue Indian, Sleeping Man, and then Action Man. Both nights were good nights. Those are ridiculous nights.
Is Action Man a Vic Chestnut cover?
Yeah. Oh, they did 3 nights there. What? damn, let's see what the first night was. Okay, the first night's Heaven, which is a good one. Climb to Safety, The Takeout, Rock, Walking for Your
I
Love.
want to go to that Panic show, bro.
I'm Not Alone, Jaded Tourist, Ride Me High, Love Tractor, Holding Over Soul, Good Morning Schoolgirl, which is fucking amazing. Radio Child, Barstools and Dreamers, Impossible, Cell, Good People, Drums, Blight, Blackout Blues, Dream, and they ended with North. That dude, but 3 nights. Those 3 nights were fucking ridiculous.
Dude, I love how they never played like when like you name that first those first sets. It's like I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. I mean, but it's like I guarantee you, I wouldn't have been at that show hating any second of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just like, oh, they really didn't play. You know, like they only play 5 songs I wanted to hear in those 3 sets or whatever. And it's like, but then it's like they have those 3 sets where it's like all the songs you want to hear. But it's like then that's how like seeing them live and then like listening to them live is how I find new songs I want to hear.
Right,
and there's songs that like, I mean, dude, like we're in Mexico, they played like 90 songs.
At least 4 nights of at least 20 songs.
Yeah, it's funny. JB on night 4 was like, we think our friends. Without them, we would have way fewer songs to play.
Yeah.
That was funny because, I mean, think about it.
They do have a lot of music, though. But
So,
they
like,
just don't have a lot memorized.
I wonder how many Panic songs there are if you don't dig into their cover. Because, like, really, if you got to think about it, the Brute stuff and the Vic Chestnut stuff, they kind of inherited in a way. You know, like, especially because of schools. And then, like, I mean, dude, if anything ever happened to Todd Snyder, I wonder if they would start covering hardworking American songs. I mean
they probably already do, really.
I've never heard them play one. I mean, I'm sure they might, but that's like, I mean, all the side bands, like Hardworking Americans is just an example of another side band of Widespread Panic. Like Brute was a side band of Widespread Panic in the 90s.
They all venture out and do their own thing, that's for sure.
And I dig that, and that's why I feel like they're only playing these festivals right now, but they may only play festivals in the future. I don't know.
I hope not. I hope they go back to just hidden cities for a night or 2, because if they don't, that means goodbye to Arkansas. You know what I mean? Unless they just do like a festival like Waka or something.
Well, and I think that because of the AMP and Rogers, and thank goodness we live in the wonderful state that was responsible for Walmart. And because of that, we have this awesome concert venue in Northwest Arkansas in which Walmart pays to bring awesome bands. And I'm going to see Weezer and the Pixies there with my wrestling coach, MacArthur. I'm going to have him on the podcast. We're going to see them in like July.
Didn't they just play there here a while back?
Possibly.
I'm pretty sure Weezer just played the amp here just a while back.
I think they did with like Blink-182 or something, man. I don't know. I can't remember who they played with. Like Blink-182 doesn't even have the same singer anymore, bro.
I know, which is fucking that's bullshit, because that one dude was really the sound.
He was, and I like him better with like his other band, Angels and Airwaves.
Both of them together.
It was. They had a really good dynamic, and then as a 3-piece unit, because that's just it. Like Dylan and I have talked several times about how Chevelle struggles to pull it off like live. Like I saw him live, and I wasn't really that impressed.
When I saw him live, they blew me away.
Well, like
it could have just been, you seen them in a shitty time, because I've seen bands perform shitty.
Well, it's hard for think about it. Their front man. They need a second guitar player. Like, only because their frontman's an awesome singer, but they're a 3-piece band. Mm-hmm. So I think it's bass, guitar, and then the drums, because like the same setup as Blink-182, but they don't have a dynamic where the bass player is singing some of the songs. Like, it's all the frontman. So like on a harder rock band like that, you got to really be... I don't know. I just feel like that's where, like, it's not like they struggle live, but it's like there's times when...
He's carrying the band.
Yeah, exactly. He has to carry the whole band, the whole show, every show. And I think that is that's a difficult task to do. And like Blink-182 had an interesting dynamic where they kind of flip flop back and forth. I think that's an interesting dynamic with the drive-by truckers.
Slightly Stupid does that too. They even not only swap off singing, they swap off playing guitar and slapping bass. Like
Slapping the bass,
one will be
ma.
slapping the bass, and then they'll trade it off, and one will start playing the guitar. Dude, they both can do that. They both can play guitar and bass, and dude, it's sick. Slightly Stupid is one of my favorite bands to see live, dude. Those dudes bring the motherfucking house down every time. Just like, damn. I got to meet them the first time I seen them. I got to meet them. They come around the bar, met people.
Dude, that's what I love. Like,
they won't
about
do that
going
now
to
'cause
George's.
they're huge now. That's where I first seen them at. Was at George's, and they were after the show. They were like, "Come around front," and they were just chilling at the bar and shit. Before they got huge, and then like a year or two after that, they got fucking huge, and then they're headlining like Cannabis or High Times Cannabis Cup over in Amsterdam and shit. You know, headlining it. You know, people like fucking Snoop Dogg and shit. People, you know, super super famous hype. So they don't come around to the front of the bar and hang out no more.
Well, I feel like I should just cut out this whole last 40 minutes and just make a Music Unraveled episode about widespread panic.
I mean,
I am pumped to go see the Floozies while you're going to be in Mexico watching Widespread Panic without me, but you know, you kind of owe me that because I saw him in Memphis in May, and that was one of the sickest sets ever because John Bell was like the embodiment of like Johnny Cash or something, bro. Like,
I mean, he probably was feeling
it was
that.
dirty.
I mean, you know, dude, fucking Panic, bro.
I love me
you're
some
not
Widespread
gonna be
Panic.
there, man.
Well, but dude, here's the thing. As soon as you get back, you got to come on the podcast. We got to do a Music Unraveled episode. So, like, Cora and I did an after the show, which is what we're doing with our theories on Game of Thrones, which we're going to wrap up on.
Off of Wi-Fi where it won't charge me? Because if I can FaceTime while I'm in Mexico with you, I'll FaceTime.
I don't know if since you're going to be out of but here's, dude, okay, so here's the thing, bro. Like, you need to start a YouTube, dude. Like, Booty has a sick YouTube. Like, every show he goes to. Like, I just realized this because you know why? Because I like watching Roger Waters play dogs on YouTube. So, like, what's the first place that you and everyone else goes when they want to see a badass live version of a song they like? They go to YouTube. And like when I go watch Roger Waters play on the tour that you and I saw him at, even at one of the shows of the 3 shows between you at Kansas City, me in Tulsa, and then us both going to Nashville. Even at one of those shows, somebody recording on their shitty iPhone from the nosebleeds, and it has like 100,000 views. Like, you know what? We are stupid for not doing a fight companion the other night because. Like, dude, there's this guy that is going to be on the podcast, and we're going to break down the main card and just rewatch it on Fight Pass if you want to come over on Saturday. This dude's going to be card. Yeah, I mean, I fell asleep for like at least 2 of the fights. I watched really 2 rounds of the Khabib fight, 2 and 3. I watched the whole Condit fight. I mean, dude, it was just like dominated.
Nobody beats that dude. Nobody beats Khabib.
What about Conor McGregor?
He's gonna maul him, dude.
Yeah, I just thought he's a tank.
He's a little Daniel Cormier. He's a little Cain Velasquez. That's exactly.
I mean, really, is that the same spot?
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, that guy's on another level.
Yeah, I dig. I dig watching him fight, and I hope that he keeps his nutrition and stuff together, and we get to see him fight more.
Oh yeah, dude, he looked a lot better in this fight than his past fights. He actually looked cut, not drained out, didn't look like shit, dude. And he beat the shit out of Edson Barboza. They should have stopped the fight, honestly.
Yeah, but you know, Edson was still just whiffing kicks, and the 3rd round, I was like, that was a really fast kick, sir, for you still being in the 3rd round and getting your butt stomped. Because it's like, I would say this, like, I felt like Calm got beat handily, but it also wasn't like
2 judges almost scored the fight.
I know, but that I say that more so in like she accrued a lot of damage, and she ran straight into a lot of punches.
Wink didn't change that game plan up. Start throwing kicks.
But
to the
dude,
body and
I
the
just
leg.
watched that, in which she almost knocked Jermaine Durand to me out
Yeah.
with that little like a 3-kick combination,
Yeah.
like all round kicks, and but she was kind of doing that same blitz boxing strategy
She did it
with
the whole time.
yeah, but what was happening, I feel like in that fight is she would run into punches. Like,
yeah.
but it would be like she would start a 3-punch combination, and between her first and second punch, Cyborg would counter with like a straight right or something, and that would, but she would still be moving forward in her blitz, and it's like it caused it to look odd because she would continue to keep punching after she got hit or off balanced by the counter, and kind of kept moving forward with her combo, even though like it got totally derailed. It was interesting.
Yeah,
But she accrued a lot of damage, bro.
she should have thrown a lot more leg and body kicks.
I know. I like
push
in that.
kicks.
I like how she and I can't really remember. That's why I'm gonna rewatch all the main card fights on Friday, or at least the Khabib and Holly Holm fight, or Saturday rather. But that lead leg side kick to the front of the thigh. Did she throw that a lot in the
what
Cyborg fight?
No,
See, because she threw that a lot in the Jermaine Durand fight, and
Yeah,
that's kind of like a staple Jackson Wink, and that does work out well. I mean, even Connor throws it.
She doesn't. She didn't really throw many kicks in the Cyborg fight. She didn't mix it up that well in the Cyborg fight. She really didn't.
Yeah.
She really stuck to the boxing more than kickboxing.
Yeah,
She shouldn't have done that blitz and shit and kept her distance the whole time.
I know. I was interested to see that style matchup because I would say that like in the way that I see like stand up striking, like I don't see, and I'm like, let's just say like, I mean, I know we're talking MMA, but like just in like the perspectives of like, I see Cyborg has like that Thai background, like she's like has that Thai style stand up to me, like is gonna just like whoom, whoom,
Yeah,
like
she's
big,
straight shoot the box,
big
looking
like
top.
single, like
She
big
Wanderlei
nasty
Silva,
shots.
bro.
I know, and that Jermaine Durand girl is like that a lot. That's why I want to see her fight Cyborg. Like, why did she rob us of that? That's so crazy. How you gonna vacate the title that you beat Holly Holm for?
And knew that was the stipulation.
Say that you're
after.
not going to fight Cyborg, and then they strip you of the title, and then Holly Holm fights.
She knew she wasn't going to fight her the whole time. She just wanted
So
to be a title.
Shevchenko beat Holly Holm. I haven't seen that fight.
Yeah.
I got to go back and
It's
watch that
really,
fight.
it's a real technical fight, but yeah, she does. Like, straight up. Beats her soundly.
So do you
Outpoints her.
So I want to do this thing where like we pick a fighter, and we break down like five fights, and like I want to pick people like Michael Bisping that accrued a lot of damage over their career, and I want to talk about like how many fights they've had after, and just kind of break down like number of TKOs, or like, I mean, because you got to think about Michael Bisping. How many times has he been knocked out since Dan Henderson knocked him out?
Octagon. That's not even counting gym fights. Training.
I know. And I mean, hopefully, like, I would like to think that we live in an era, and accidents and mistakes still do happen, but it's like, it's all in the gym too. Cause like, we went like 2 years or something without a nasty knockout, and we had one in 2017. And it was like 2 years of no nasty knockouts before that. Like, I'm talking like concussed, like drooling. And it happens, dude. It's like you get kicked in the head. You were going in that direction that they were kicking, and it happens. And I tell people, it's like, there's really not a super polite way to kick someone in the head.
No. There's no polite way of fighting at all.
I mean, even with shin pads and stuff on, it's rough. But anyway, so any final thoughts on Game of Thrones season 8, dude? Like, what are we gonna do?
I don't know, dude. What's the sorcerer gonna do? He's still after Dany. Remember, he was after as the little girl and give her that ball. It opened up and that crazy bug come out, try to bite her, and then the girl runs off. that's still the sorcerer. Like, still after her.
What are we talking about?
The sorcerer, bro.
What sorcerer?
You know, when she goes to the town where they take her dragons into
Karth.
the tower in the Karth, okay? The black guy, and then her main bitch betrays her and gives the dragons to the sorcerer.
And you think that guy's still around?
He's still alive and still after Danny for her dragons. Because, as he says, the dragons make his
What
magic.
do you base that on? Like, why do you think he's still around? What is
Because
alluded
the fact
to
that he followed her after she left to try and kill her. You don't remember that?
No.
Okay, you don't remember an episode where it shows Danny walking through town, and then she catches eye contact with like a little girl, and she starts following the little girl, and they go on. And
Oh yeah,
on.
so I do remember that, and that was at Karth, but since Karth.
Oh, that was at Karth. I thought that was.
So didn't the
after.
dragons like toast that dude?
Supposedly, but you not remember that dude being like 3 different dudes at one time?
Yes.
Okay, he's a motherfucking sorcerer, bro. You think water's gonna stop that guy?
So do you think past that episode, has he been revealed in any way?
Mm-mm.
But do you think he's still lurking in the shadows?
Of course, there's gotta be.
I want to know what Cersei's up to, dude.
Just being a bitch.
What's she gonna do? And I mean, Dorne's
not
gonna
gonna go
want
after
that lady back. What's her name?
The
Illyri. I can't remember her name.
Oberon's girlfriend.
Oberyn, yeah.
Oberyn's.
Oberyn, yeah.
the
Oberyn's
Sand
mistress,
Snakes.
or yeah, the leader
I
of the Sand
can't remember
Snakes.
her name, but yeah, you know, she's in a dungeon watching her daughter rot.
Yeah, major bummer. I
So
remember
they
that.
might get attacked by Dorne, and that pushes them north, possibly. Or they'll have to rally and be like, okay, we'll fight with you now, but we need to help.
So
fight Dorne.
Dorne was backing Dany in season 7. The Tyrells, who are no longer existing, were backing Dany in season 7. She took heavy losses, I feel like, at Casterly Rock. And where else? So she's still got a lot of her forces. But I feel like they lost a lot of people at Casterly Rock because that's where Greyjoy like cornered them or whatever. Anyway, so
I can't remember.
any final theories on season 8 other than total resets, or what ideas do you have about spinoffs?
It's hard to pinpoint a spinoff. I think the talk of Robert's Rebellion
I think
is
that's
not going to happen. I think
You-
that's
you
just
really?
some-
That's
they're
the one I
just
wanna
throwing
see.
out. No, I don't though, because it's just so close to. It's almost like the prequel to what this would be. Like I already know the ending to what this little era is be. Either like take me further in.
and I will say this,
history.
like how they wrap it up will that how they write this season, if it hasn't already been written, and how they wrap it up, or how whatever Winds of Winter turns out to be, I think that opens up the door for all the different possibilities of what they could do in terms of spinoffs. And I'm definitely going to watch whatever spinoff they come out with. I've heard they're even going to end up maybe doing like some maybe even spin-off movies. I don't know, like full-length feature
I'll
films
definitely watch
periodically.
whatever they throw at me.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they've
and
already
so
got
have you
me,
heard?
like junkie style addicted?
Have you heard that season 8's going to be like? Oh, dude, I've been feeling this way. I started at season 4. When season 4, like I was waiting on it to come
I
on.
can't. I'm so glad I didn't start until
Dude,
now, because this is terrible.
I know,
Having
dude.
to wait till 2019.
And yeah, I know, dude.
That's hard,
Dude, I remember one time, like I'm talking like this was in during season 4, I think, and like it's like week 8 or week 7, and like for whatever reason, they did not come out with an episode of Game of Thrones on Sunday night, and I was like, damn it! No! Like, dude, I was that deep in at that point. So, like, I always joke about it, like, because you didn't have to wait or whatever, but, like, I had to wait, like, between season 4 and season 5, between season 5 and season 6, between season 6 and season 7. And then, like, now I'm waiting, like, two freaking years just so I can see these hour and 30-minute episodes or 2-hour episodes or whatever they said
Sad,
they're going to
you
be.
know, that last episode, because it could be up to like 3 to 5 years or something, unless they're secretly like already like working on shooting.
Which
stuff.
I guess they could be.
Like they could be filming shit. Like if there's like not an ending at season 8, they could be filming shit for season 9 right now too.
So we're gonna have to break down where we think season 2 of Westworld's gonna go in the future time. Not in this time, but
The Woman in Black, bro.
bro, we're gonna save that for another podcast. Don't say anything else. Don't say anything else. Okay, I already told the audience that you were gonna come and do a talk on that, bro. But we do need to do, like, I want to do some fight breakdowns. I want to pick a fighter and I want to break down like 5 of their fights. So like what the fights I was wanting to do with Michael Bisping were Dan Henderson, Vitor Belfort, Luke Rockhold. Yeah. So like I want to take and break down their career and just kind of go over some stats and stuff. But it'd be just like a cool opportunity to watch fights and what, like, we can sit here and commentate and record what we're saying for the podcast and get the audio from the TV and the headphones without recording it. So without the TV being on, picking up in our mics and whatnot. So that's basically, we're going to break down Saturday. Josh and I guess Tanya just moved here from Georgia. We're going to break down the last card. So, and it's crazy how many, there's this like podcast I started following today called Modern Martial Artist. And, he was just breaking down the card, the main card from Home Cyborg, and had like thousands of views, thousands of listens.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people just want like a quick review, like tell me what happened.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, we've been going an hour and 40 minutes. This is the point of the night where you're like, bro, it's 11:52. All right. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So, episode 2 after the show, Game of Thrones season 8 theories with geeking moments on widespread panic and other things, MMA moments, good times. So right on. Thanks for listening. We'll be talking to you guys soon.